Talk to the Tigers here on the Karsch and Anderson program. Other than Baez, what's the biggest surprise of the first half of the season? 248-539-9797. Let's get to your phone calls. We go to DeVell. You're on 97.1 The Ticket. Hello, DeVell.
Hey, how's it going, Doug and Gator?
We're
All
good.
right.
Good. So here's my surprise. Mine is the fact that the center field position was not a liability that was predicted early in the season with all the injuries. Because I remember one by one when they went down, Parker Meadows went down. We lost Parker. That's not good. Then we lost Veerland. Oh, that's really bad. And then they're like, well, at least we got Winslow Paris. He goes down. Doom and gloom. Doom and gloom.
Yep.
Then I listened to a spring training game, and they trotted out Javier Baez in center. And I'm sitting there like shaking my head like, what are we doing? And the next day, all the sports shows on 97.1. What are we doing here with Javier in center? This is what we were thinking. So to say that not only has that not been a liability, this is that we flourished, no one can predict that. And if anybody in the city of Detroit or the surrounding neighborhoods of Detroit, if anyone said that they thought that at that point that center field would be a plus on this team, then I have 3 of whatever that person is smoking.
I got to tell you, DeVell, I give you credit because by a judge's ruling,
Right.
we said other than Javi Baez, what is the biggest surprise? And you roundabout
found a way
to make it Javi Baez.
And it was awesome.
I've been meaning to.
It was.
No,
you
it's
said
very clever.
that center field, the way you did it, it was a workaround.
My first thought is, I'm like, wow, that's crafty right there. My man's got it.
He worked around the parameters.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, because they started the season like, well, who the hell is going to play center field? I mean, we're not terribly worried. Parker Meadows is going to come back. We're like, well, when is he coming back? I don't know. It could be by May 26th, I think, was the date that they were hoping he'd be back. And sure enough, Javi Baez in center field was the emphatic answer. And not only was it was a glaring weakness going into the season, it became the strength of the team.
If nobody gets hurt, is he an all-star? Like, he could be an all-star. He could be a starting outfield, starting Javi Baez.
He is a starting.
I know, he could be.
Phase 1 today, people.
Yeah.
Noon. Stops at noon.
Feel the manufactured excitement and tension. Yeah, I mean, if none of those guys get hurt, is Javi Baez even sniffing the all-star game?
No. Well,
Maybe?
It's easy to say no, and yet, okay, so would he have been starting at shortstop? And then as long as he was hitting, he was going to play. And he certainly has his impact felt as a shortstop because he's a pretty good fielder. But what he did in center field was just dynamic.
It's crazy.
For this team waiting to get Parker Meadows back. I mean, Parker Meadows is arguably the best defensive center fielder in baseball. I would say he's probably certainly in the top 5. And Javi did not miss a beat. Like, you weren't watching fly balls out to center field and thinking, oh, great, he's not going to get this. And then he's not Parker. Oh, wait a minute, he just made that play. I mean, it was unbelievable. He would play after play. He would just make routine.
Other than Javi Baez, what's the biggest?
Yeah, no Javi. But well done.
Yeah, well played. He finessed his way.
Position.
Let's go to Nolan. You're next on 97.1 The Ticket. Hi, Nolan.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
I did have a hypothetical question after I make my point, but I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I do got to say, though, the bullpen has kind of been a surprise to me, especially after last year, just how dominant they were and kind of how they carried us at the end of the season. A little bit higher expectations. I know they've been flawed with some injuries and all that, and hopefully they do add. But I just wanted to back up your guys' point, too, on Zach McKinstry, especially coming off a one-year deal, and I know people were hesitant to bring him back and wanted to make a bigger splash, but I would have never expected he'd turn it into this basically all-star caliber player and make the impact that he had. I know he had, I think it was the same or higher OPS than Ohtani at one point, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's so many offensive stats with this team that I think back to the first series of the year. And that's why I said the 402 runs, second in the American League behind the Yankees, 407 runs, and how people were talking about banning torpedo bats. And here we are halfway through the season. and the Tigers have scored 5 runs less than the Yankees is remarkable to me. A lot of offensive stats like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting to watch. And then my question, not to go off track here, but if the Athletics were to somehow win the World Series, obviously they won't. Does Las Vegas get that ring? Or I kind of think it'd be a little bit funny if they were to win the World Series without having a city affiliation.
Where would the parade be?
Yeah.
It's a multiple parade. Just fully lean into it. We're going to have one in Oakland, Sacramento, and Las Vegas.
I have no clue.
3-day party.
Guys, I think
idea.
Rob Lowe gets the ring.
Go team.
MLB.
Yay sports. Yeah, that's funny. I have no idea what they would do under those circumstances. 248-539-9797. Question, other than Javi Baez at the midway point, what is the biggest surprise of the season? Dylan Dingler is the biggest surprise of the season. After that underwhelming start last year, he's surpassed expectation with his bat and defense, impressive offensive ability, and no one can run on him. Love Jake, but Dylan's the man. That's from Luke in Detroit. Jamie writes in, biggest surprise to me is Dylan Dingler. We've heard about him for years, but he's never really tore up the minors. Now he's a full-time starter. He's one of the best catchers in the American League. Zach Mack, baby. That's from Steve in Madison Heights. Zach McKinstry. Admin Royal Oak says, my biggest surprise is how mostly ineffective Holton has been. That's a second mention here. And it is,
it's surprising.
It's surprising.
It's funny because when we do this topic, usually it's all about the positive side, but you cannot ignore the negative. And looking season to season, Tyler Holton, his first year with the Tigers was 2 years ago. His ERA was 2.11. Last year it was 2.19, and he lowered his whip from 0.87 to 0.78. This year, his ERA is 4.46, and his whip is 1.27. That's a struggle, and hopefully he gets back on track because he was such an integral part of the bullpen. Now, if you want to look at a positive, for the last 5 outings, he has not given up a run, but one of those he gave up 3. The outing he gave up runs, it was 3. So nothing in his last 2. Maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah, it would be awfully useful for him to return to form. And there's a lot can change in the next 81 games, and God, he was good last year.
He was so good. The last 2 years, it's been amazing in the last 2 years, and it's such an integral part of that bullpen because of the versatility. You could use him at the end of games. You use them to start games as an opener. You use him as leverage because you like the matchup. Hey, throw him over here, and I want to get this. It's the 1, 2, 3 part of the lineup, but it's only the 6th inning. It's all right. Throw Holton out there. And this year it's been a struggle, but he knows how good he can be. We know how good he can be. The whole second half of the season's in front of him.
Other than Javi Baez, what is the biggest surprise of the first half of the season? Let's go to Mike. You're on 97.1 The Ticket. Hi, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, listen, for my pick, it would be Tommy Kahnle. The guy's done an outstanding job, since we picked him up from the Yankees. The guy's got a 1.35 ERA in 32 appearances. He's got 8 saves, and he's really nailed down that 7th, 8th inning role and has done a fantastic job. I feel real comfortable when he comes in the ball game.
Yeah, he's been a really good pitcher for a long time in Major League Baseball, and but he's having his best year as a Tiger and playing for
Absolutely.
this team. Those numbers are well below his career lows, and last year had a really good season. His ERA was 2.11 with the Yankees, and his WHIP was 1.15. But as you mentioned, the 1.35 ERA and the 0.75 WHIP, it's outstanding. He has become one of the absolute go-to guys in the bullpen. He and Will Vest both are two that you feel really, really confident about. But Kahnle's been maybe the best of the bunch.
Great call. We thought he'd be good, right?
Yeah.
We were told he'd be good. But
I thought what a great move to sign him in the offseason. It helps to solidify the bullpen. It's not going to be a big, sexy signing.
Nope.
Gleyber Torres wasn't a big, sexy signing, and both of those guys have been excellent additions to this team when you consider that before that this team got almost to the ALCS and then you add these two guys, it's a better team, clearly.
I don't know why, and I'm asking you and me this question of ourselves, why we didn't make a bigger deal over the offseason. They got 3 key contributors from the 2 World Series teams in Flaherty, Torres, and Canely. Why weren't we making a bigger deal out of that?
We certainly talked about it, but we didn't speak glowingly like we can now, for the most part. Although Flaherty with the up and down stuff, but I think because Canely, he's not a closer, so the bullpen arm you're adding is just another bullpen arm, even though he's got late inning leverage stuff. But he's not a guy who gets a ton of saves, so I think that speaks to him. And Gleyber Torres, I was quietly confident about Gleyber Torres. However, he was displacing guys. So that was great to have him, but what does that mean for Colt Keith? You just gave this rookie who had never played an inning of Major League Baseball, you give him a contract, a pretty decent contract for him, and now you're telling him after 1 year, hey, you're not going to play there anymore? What was that going to do? So it was just a lot to kind of digest. It might be great for the individual players you brought in, but what was the effect going to be on the rest of the team?
248-539-9797. Other than Javier Baez, what is the biggest surprise of the first half of the Tiger season? They've reached the midway point, still the best record in baseball.